Hi, everybody. Welcome to 6 Months Later, the podcast 180 Days in the Making. My name is Matthew Shadorn, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host,
Tara Newton-Wordsworth. Hello.
Hi, Tara. I'm good. Hey, Tara, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Matt. How are you?
I am all right. What's new in your life these days, Tara? How are you doing this week?
What's new in my life these days? I did my first comedy gigs, which was great, over the weekend. That was fantastic. Really, really fun. Nice to be doing comedy again, live comedy again. What else? I am desperately trying to find flooring for our apartment. I mean, these are just, I know it's non-stop excitement in my life. I have to sort of hold back and, because I don't want the listeners to be really jealous.
No, I feel like this is a great beginning of a great subplot, which is Tara's flooring subplot. And I can't wait to hear the end of this episode where we reveal how your flooring thing turned out, or if it'll be 6 months later and you'll be like, we just walk around on rafters now. We took out all the subflooring and we just walk around on boards.
I would be really depressed if that's the case. I really hope it's going to be a great, development by 6 months' time, but maybe not. We'll see how it goes. How about you? How's your week been? What's happening in your life?
I am good. I am, the Edinburgh Festival is supposed to be happening this month. Of course, it was canceled because of COVID. This is August, where it's August 13th. And I was totally cool with it until this week when Cardi B put out a new music video that I'm totally obsessed with. And one of the shows we were going to do in Edinburgh was a show that I love to do called Comedy Killed the Video Star, where we basically talk about music videos. We have comedians come on, they talk about music videos. And I saw this music video this week and I was like, I wish I could show this to people. And I wish that because I could talk about this for a whole hour. This could have been I got to cancel all my guests and just talk about this for an hour every day for the rest of the month. Because I'm so amazed and blown away by this video.
So why is this? I have not seen this video. Why are you so enraptured by it?
I think it's not just me; it's the whole internet is into this. So the video is called WAP, which is WAP, which is an acronym. And you don't know anything about this?
I know nothing about this at all.
Okay, so it's Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. They do this song called WAP. And so WAP is an acronym, and this is going to get a little blue, folks. So if you have any kids listening, don't.
I'm just going to go ahead and assume that the P stands for pussy. Am I right?
It does. So amazing. It stands for wet ass pussy. And the song is about how she has one of those and how it is really great. And how sex is fun and she and this other lady enjoy having sex. And it's really sex positive and it's really good. And it's a super fun song. One of the best things about the video, first off, it's visually like insane. And Cardi B looks like, I don't know, like a human cartoon in some ways. Anyways, she has like that, I don't know, it's like this very heightened sexuality, like Dolly Parton or whatever. It's like anyways, that's not the point. The point is, like, in the video, it's on YouTube, but apparently they felt the need to have like a quote unquote clean version of a song called Wet Ass Pussy. And what they have done is they have changed the chorus from being wet ass pussy to wet and gushy, which is 100 times more dirty.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
It's so disturbing every time they say it. And I'm just like, wow, who thought that was the only thing that makes sense is the music executives came to them. They're like, hey, we need to do like a clean version of this. And at a protest, they made it worse. And it is hilarious. And there are also like various other points where they'll kind of like fudge over words or bleep over words, or sometimes substitute words. And the words that they choose to sub in or change or bleep are insane. And it makes the song even dirtier because the things when you left up to your imagination, it just goes, it's crazy. And then, but yeah, they are in this insane mansion, stately WAP manor, because it has WAP on the gates as you go in. There is insane dancing. There's lots of water everywhere. Everything about it is just brilliant and amazing and so crazy. And I'm upset that I can't just show this to Edinburgh audiences for 2 weeks now.
I mean, I feel like everything you've described is kind of like most hip hop videos, though. So I'm sort of feeling like maybe you've never seen a hip hop video.
No, I have seen many hip hop videos. I'm not doing it justice. The problem is I can't possibly do it justice with just describing it. You know, it's like, how do you express the pure emotion of love to someone with just something as crude as words? You know,
wow,
and that's where I'm at.
Okay,
and it is just I love it. It's so great. If you're out there, if you haven't seen it 6 months after the fact, I highly recommend it. I feel like you need to watch it, Tara.
So yeah, good. I mean, I feel like my first thing that I'm going to do as soon as I leave this room is I'm going to be like, Will, we've got to sit down and watch this video right now. Like, whatever you're doing, I don't care. Just watch this video. And then I feel like I'm going to be really disappointed.
No. You know what I wish I could do is I wish we had time and I could like share a screen with you and watch you watch it for the first time.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know how it goes and the effects it has on me. You know, I feel like it's going to be life-changing, and that's fantastic. So that's your main event from the last week is that's
kind of the main thing that I've been enjoying all week. It's been very hot here. I've been very upset with how hot it is.
I mean, it's been really hot.
But anyways, so 6 months from now, what do you think? Anything big you think happening in 6 months? You think you have your floors done?
Oh God, I really hope the floors are done. I mean, that's my main hope for the world in 6 months' time. Other than that, I don't know. I feel like it sounds kind of like there might be a chance that, you know, various places around us are going back on lockdown. So I have that. I heard from Western Australia that they think they're going to keep the borders closed and this quarantine going until mid next year. So that is well and truly thrown out my plans of going home for Christmas. So I'm forgetting about that for the moment, which is very sad. I have no massive swing predictions or anything like that, other than the fact that I'm assuming I will be walking around on beautiful oak, potentially fake oak vinyl floors. What about you, Matt?
I don't know. I was trying to think about what was going on in early February, and I realized that's right after the Super Bowl would have happened. So I'm going to call it now. Super Bowl champions 2021, New York Giants. I have no reason to guess that. No, my main reason for guessing that is I think New York has done best with the pandemic. So they might be the only football team that can actually play. Yeah. So that might be, but that's what I'm calling. And if they win, then again, I look like an incredible genius. And if they lose, well, then they lose.
Okay. Well,
New York Giants.
That's exciting.
So let's get to our guest, an old friend of mine, a very funny gentleman, Mr. Drew Morgan. Yay!
Yay!
Hey, welcome to the show, writer and comedian Drew Morgan. Drew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm doing real good.
Yeah, long time. It's been a long time. 4 years, I think, since I left America.
It's been definitely a couple of years. I was thinking about it on my drive. We had dinner at Flats and Taps. Is that the last time I saw you? Oh no, Matt.
Fucking hell.
How did his internet work until we started recording? Oh, there he's back.
What I love is that you've got better internet sitting in a car than Matt's got in his own home. Like what the?
I'm in a national forest. Just this connection.
Anyways, if I drop out again, just keep talking and pretend like I'm still there because I'll be right back.
It's just really hard when you're the one asking the question.
That's fair.
And it was about the last time I saw you. So anyway, Tara, the last time I saw Matt, we had dinner at Flats and Taps.
Oh yeah, Flats and Taps. That's right.
What's Flats and Taps?
It was it's a pizza place. Yeah, in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where we met. Drew and I started doing comedy in Knoxville, Tennessee around the same time.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. When was this?
Up on a decade.
A decade.
When we met? I don't remember when we met. I started in Knoxville. I started in, I guess, Miami the year before I moved to Knoxville. A decade ago in November, it'll be a decade. So I probably met Matt 9 or 8 years ago. 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, I think I'm coming up on 8 years because I started in 2012. So yeah, about 8 years in October.
So I probably met you then when you started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Wow, that's cool. So did you guys sort of do open mics together, or is that or were you doing like comedy together in Tennessee?
Yeah, we started doing open mics. Yeah, and then regular shows.
You were smart enough to never go work for Side Splitters, right?
Yeah. I did their open mic once, and it was a horrible experience.
I worked for Side Splitters, which was the club. It was the most 80s movie classic American comedy club with like a really, really, really misogynistic kind of racist owner and like a horrible manager who was mean to everybody. And Matt was smart enough to just be like, I don't need that. And I was like, very much like, no, you go to the club and they pay you and this is how it works, you know? And it set me back. It did not help me at all. He was right not to do that.
Well, I don't know.
We did bar shows together.
Yeah. Did tons of bar shows, tons of open mic. But that's, good old days, or not so good. I don't know. I still can't bring myself to go back to Tennessee.
Wow. You're not based in Tennessee anymore, are you, Drew? You're in New York now. Like, you're based in New York.
I'm in LA. I left Tennessee for New York, and then I moved to LA last January.
Oh, okay.
Because of a show I was working on.
Right. Is that with Well Read?
Yeah. Trey, Corey, and I are tour together under Well Read. And then we also at least have one project a year that we work on. And that particular year, I guess that was January of 2019, we had already sold it. We sold a sitcom to ABC. They ended up not making it, and wah. But I moved out to LA to continue working on it. Yeah.
Wow. So do you still get paid for like selling them the sitcom in the first place?
Yeah, they buy it from you. They buy the concept, and then that's paying you to finish the pilot usually. Different companies work differently. I guess Netflix will buy the whole pilot, but if Netflix buys you, they're going to make you for the most part. So that's like why it's kind of a home run. But with most of the networks, they'll buy your idea, and then you spend some time working on it and honing it and taking their shitty directions, and they suck all of the soul and everything, every reason they brought you there, because they don't understand how to reach people from the part of the country you're from. And then they go, we don't get this part. And we're like, yeah, that's why you brought us here. But anyway, they suck all that out of it, and then they go, this show's boring, and they don't make it. That's been my experience.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it took
Hollywood.
me 10 months to like, fuck this town.
How do you like LA? I'm very curious about this. Like, just beside the
I genuinely like it.
Do you? I was trying to convince my wife to move to LA, and she's like, no, it's such an ugly town. And I was like, I don't know, there's some really great parts to it.
There's parts of it that's ugly because it's urban sprawly, I guess.
Yeah.
But the beach areas are very, very beautiful. I live in the valley, which is slightly cheaper. Like, I can afford to rent a house there instead of an apartment. I got a 1-bedroom house.
Oh, right.
It's not pretty in the valley, but we're nestled up against the mountains, and it's 2 hours from very pretty stuff, and it's 35 minutes from the beach. I actually really like LA more than I expected.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have when I was 25. It's the culture surrounding our industry is very, I don't know. I mean, it's Hollywood. You already made a joke about it. It's very, who's pretty, who's hot, who's this, who's that. There's not as much substance to it. But the town itself, there's just it's cliche to talk about weather, but after you've been in perfect weather for a full year,
right,
you start to realize, wait, no, it actually makes my life better to never be sad just because it's gray out.
Right.
Wow, that sounds really good. Actually, I feel like
I see. But I moved to England because I'm sad when it isn't gray out. So that's kind of my.
Yeah,
but
you hate hope, and
I do.
Stuff.
It's a disgusting emotion. It should be crushed.
Man, LA sounds amazing. I feel so jealous. Like, I genuinely feel like that sounds awesome. It sounds actually. I'm from Western Australia. It sounds a little bit like, I think the weather is possibly similar in Western Australia, but there is no industry in Western Australia really. Oh well, there's a bit of comedy and stuff, but it's just one of those things where like what's this in West? It's like Perth and stuff. It's literally the most remote city on the planet.
Perth is,
and
I've been to Perth. Is the only one I've been to. I've been to Perth.
That's the only Australian city you've been to?
No, it's the only one in Western Australia that I've been to.
Oh, okay.
Like,
right,
we went to Perth, and then I think we kind of went into the Outback or whatever they would call it out there a little, but mostly we just hung around Perth and then flew back to Sydney.
Right. And how did you find Perth?
Honestly, the coolest night of my life happened in Perth, and it's not a long story, so I guess I have to tell you.
Okay, it's very intriguing for you to say it was the coolest night of my life and then just leave it at that. You'd be a real asshole. That's just a story for Drew. Thank you very much.
It was some friends of mine after college. We lived in Australia for a little while. At one point, we went to Perth to visit. We were trying to find this place. I think we were going to go diving. I don't remember what we were going to do. We stopped at a bar to get like a quick bite and ask people something. I don't know if it was directions or what we needed at the time. When we went into this bar, there were only two patrons. There was a very large Maori man on one end and an old lady on the other. And we talked to the bartender or whatever, and we ate really quickly and we left. We did whatever we were doing that way. Like I said, I think we were diving. So it was a good day. And then we come back to that bar and it's a little bit more, there's a few more patrons, but those two people are still there. The old lady and the big guy at the end of the bar have been there now probably 8 hours.
Wow.
So they recognized us and now they're drunk because we'd been there earlier. So they were like, the Americans, whatever. Our friend Daniel started dancing with this old lady. She was very into him and very handsy. And then the big guy just took a shine to me and we started drinking. Well, the rest of my friends were talking with the locals. Long story short, when the night closed down, they invited us to one of the bartender's houses for a party. Big Raj is what I would learn the Maori man's name was. Ordered a case to go, which for Americans, your bars aren't allowed to do to go stuff. But there you're allowed at that time or whatever. So he ordered a 24-pack to go after drinking all day, put it on his shoulder, threw me his keys and said, "Your drive, you wreck, I will bash you to death." Now, bash you is an Australian phrase that Americans don't use very frequently. Like that's not like that's a little bit of a colloquial thing, but it felt so specific to me, like bash me, and I was like, fuck, and I'm hammered. So, to the kids out there listening, and I'm sure you guys have lots of young Gen Z fans, don't drive drunk unless Big Raj makes you. So we drove to this garage party. People were playing didgeridoo and like smoking weed, and my buddy Ben, who was with us, played guitar and stuff, and we had a good time. And then there was a guy there. He was, as I recall, his mother was half Aboriginal and his father was full Aboriginal. And he was a tour guide for tourists in the area. And I don't know what the right word is, and I don't want to be insensitive. He was something in his tribe or in his group that was considered high up. I don't want to say elder, maybe an elder. I don't know. Really cool guy. He invited us to this hot spring. So,
oh my God.
Like, yeah, wow. This sounds fun. It's a natural hot spring. He's like, we got to go through the desert to get there. And he takes off, literally, guys, in his IROC Z Camaro. Is that what those are? Like a fucking muscle car. In Perth, Australia, an American muscle car. We're following him down this desert road. We're in Divot. There's like trenches, like what, you know what I'm saying? Like the tires are in Divot.
The ruts.
Whatever the right word is. You can't leave. Ruts. Thank you, Matt. We're in ruts, driving now even more drunk and stoned, screaming at each other. Like, this dude's doing like 60 on a desert road. We get there. You can see every star in the sky. You know how Western Australia is. And there's this natural hot springs that they've built, essentially a hot tub, but it feeds in, the water feeds into it naturally. He starts telling us stories, creation stories in the Aboriginal culture about
like the dream
turtle,
time,
the universe, all that stuff. And there's all these gorgeous young people who worked at the bar. Everyone's naked. And he's telling us these stories and we're stoned.
Oh my God.
And I'm looking up at the stars like, what is happening right now? We just were going diving and now it like moved me. It was spiritual for me. Then we go to sleep, wake up the next day.
Jesus, that's not the end.
There's a park ranger knocking on the window of my car. Well, I skipped all the parts about us getting drunk and handsy with people, consensually. But the park ranger knocking on my window and I wake up and it was like at night, everything is different. Now it's the middle of the day. There are school buses full of children at what I now am learning is a very, very popular and expensive for us travelers tourist destination. Like to enter the park is like $15 a person. I'm in the car passed out. There's two girls passed out in the back seat. My friend Daniel was passed out in the car behind us. The rest of our friends were sleeping in a tent. None of the locals are with us. They like totally abandoned ship because they knew what was up. Like they knew to get up before the sun rose or whatever. And this dude's like, hey mate, you owe us fucking $200 to the amount of people here. They haven't even seen the people in the tent. Probably more like I don't have that kind of cash. I have a 20 on me. I'm like, oh, okay, take this. And my friend Daniel's like, I'm going to go to the ATM to get you some more money. There's one over there, right? And he then ducks over into the bush because our friends are camping. And I swear to God, our friends, you could see them. They carried the tent down the road through the bush. You can see the top of the tent. bouncing through the bush as we like peeled out of there, gave the dude a 20, like, our bad. Went back to town. We were probably 3-4 kilometers from town. They just drove us through the desert just to fuck with us, I think. There was no reason that we took the back roads. None.
Wow.
To the secret fucking, it's the most popular. We were already planning on going there. We just didn't know that's where we were. Like, it's in every Frommers and all that. They just were fucking with us. We're going to take you to this secret place.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
That's awesome though. That's so nice that they did that. Like, because it would have been quite magical. Like, it would have been a lot less magical if them be like, oh, we're taking you to this really popular tourist destination that you could go to anytime.
That's how I sum up Australians. They're gonna fuck with you, but for your own good.
Oh, that's nice. That's really sweet.
Tara, is that what you've been doing?
Yeah. Always, Matt.
That's amazing.
I basically just constantly sort of secretly take the piss out of Matt, like, but I don't think anyone actually knows, especially not him. But
what?
It's like, what? I thought you thought I was really cool. No, you are. You're cool in your own way, Matt.
That's horrible.
You're cool in your own way.
I know, right?
Oh man, that was a great story. I love that story because you sort of feel it as you're in it. Like, you feel the magic of that. Like, I don't know, I have moments like that where I look back when I was in New York and I was like met a friend who was like modeling, and suddenly we're like in some secret, you know, those bars that like you have to walk into a diner that looks perfectly normal, and then someone opens a fridge and you walk into the fridge and then you go down some stairs and then suddenly you're in like a club and stuff. Like, it was at the time, like, it was so magical. Like, it literally felt like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. But then you find out that actually it's really normal.
Right. But to you, it felt like this is what New York is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's
and
just
that
like,
was
wow.
my thing, is like, and, you know, trying not to objectify, native people. But at the same time, a fucking Aboriginal's playing the didgeridoo in a goddamn natural spring hot tub and telling me stories about the universe and turtles. Yeah, like, you can't help but be like, holy shit, this is the real experience. And it turns out it was a bunch of drunk friends kind of fucking with us. And that was the real experience.
Yeah, which is nice. Like, that's so cool.
That's nice,
what a great,
As far as pranks go, it's probably the best possible prank ever.
Yeah. Make them think they're having more fun than they're having.
Nah.
That's so nice. That's awesome. What a great time.
I forget what we were talking about before. So you're on vacation now? You taking...
Yep. Vacation's a loose term. I have nothing going on. You know, all the gigs have stopped. I am pitching another show via Zoom sometime soon, but even that kind of stuff is slowed way down. And it's one of those things where I guess I'm technically unemployed. I don't know, how much either of you are keeping up with it. America is not doing a great job with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Surprise.
No, I'm very much keeping up with it and invested in it, particularly since my parents are in Florida and they're both in their 70s now. Yeah. I'm sorry you're never going to see him again, Matt. But oh, thanks, Drew. Wow, that's so great.
That's so dark. I mean,
we're going to talk again in 6 months, and a lot can happen there, and you're going to feel like a real asshole.
Oh my god, that would be really awful, man.
It's fine. It's fine.
Fingers crossed, they're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. They're very, very cautious. But
my internet cut out, and it cut back in with you going, we're going to have this conversation again in 6 months, and you're going to feel like a real asshole. So whatever you said in between the last I heard from you and then...
Oh, no. Fuck.
We've lost Drew.
We lost Drew.
What happens when we lose the person? Oh, he's back.
We're back. Oh, I think you're better now.
Hey, that's way better.
Yeah, somehow the connection got better.
I think my internet heard you call me an asshole and was like, he's right, you're an asshole, Drew, and it cut out.
You said
no, you were saying like America's not doing well. We can pick it up from there and kind of talk about what's going on with you.
Yeah, without context, America's not doing well. We could start anywhere, but our president has gutted so many of our institutions that would have helped us deal with this crisis. And then on top of that, when the crisis, or as it's come to a head, he hasn't reacted very well. Also, it turns out the American, I guess, zeitgeist or attitude, wit isn't always the worst in the world. Like, when it comes to certain things, the America, like, kind of fuck you, I'll do what I want attitude can be helpful. But when it comes to, no, we all need to stay home and be nice to each other and, you're not wearing a mask for you, you're wearing it for your neighbors and all that stuff. Turns out the American attitude is very bad and very bad for dealing with this shit. So we're stuck in a loop, and I don't know when we're going to get out of it, if we ever will. It might be one of those things where eventually this nightmare of a country that I live in, that I love, but that is a nightmare, we'll just say we're going to power through it and we're going to let a bunch of people die. And that will be a very dark thing. But in the meantime, I am stuck not touring. There were a few opportunities when we opened back up, because we are such a crazy country, where I could have toured. Right. And we decided not to. It was not the right thing to do. We've done online shows, and they're fun. They really are for us, and they're fun for the crowd. I think the crowd expects less, like they know, because like we did new material. We were like, look, it's quarantine. We're all kind of, it's in some ways it's perfect for a comedian in terms of your set, because everyone in the audience is thinking the same thing and going through the same thing. Now, they'll bring different perspectives to it, but we are all living the same experience right now. So how do I comment on that? But I didn't have a chance to workshop any of the jokes, so I was kind of doing a well-read open mic, but I think their expectations were lower. It was a lot of fun, but that's sort of what I've been doing. I put out a special. I mean, that's another thing. We had some tapes,
I saw that. Some
really good quality videos that we had been pitching. So I had these tapes because we were pitching to like Comedy Central or Netflix or whoever. I recognized that was over for at least a year. You know what I mean? Like, that's not happening anytime soon. And I'll have new jokes by the time it is happening. So I said, fuck it, I'm burning all these jokes. I edited all my jokes into a long special, and I put some home movies in there because I was bored, and I think they colored some of the jokes. Like, I have jokes about guns where, like, I'm a super liberal person, but I was raised by these hunting rednecks. And so before I did the joke, I showed this video of my dad teaching my wife how to shoot a gun. And at first she's like, oh no. And by the end of it, she's like, fuck yeah, guns are rad. So it's like that.
Do you have a bigger gun?
Yeah, that's Andy.
Yeah. That's hilarious. That sounds great, man. That's awesome.
What's your special on?
I'm just putting it out. I told people to Venmo or PayPal me whatever they wanted, and to email me if they didn't have money because of quarantine. And a lot of people were really kind. They would send me like $30 or $40 and say, this is me paying for whoever writes you and says that they're, not employed right now. And I think I gave away probably like 5% of it, 5% of the people that got it or asked for it for free. And I've been really, really pleased with it. And the feedback's been great. I'm really proud of it.
No, that's amazing, man.
It's called Surly Across America.
Awesome. Sweet. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So that sounds great. Is that just you, or is that the well-read crew?
It's just me. Some of the videos some of the tape is from tours shows we had together, but the majority of it is stuff I was doing on my own, just because I feel like I get better tape from a crowd that doesn't know me, frankly.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome. How exciting. I'm really looking forward to checking that out. And in terms of like the future, do you have any kind of, like, I know it's really hard to have plans at the moment, but do you have any sort of plans for what you'd like to be doing, say in 6 months' time, like when we talk to you next?
Yeah, so we're pitching a show via Zoom that is a very sort of dark, almost like Atlanta, a dark comedy. It's about a town and a family who does what's called dirt track racing. Dirt track racing is like amateur NASCAR, and it's set in the 90s, right before the opioid epidemic and NAFTA kind of came together to really ravish rural America, especially in the South and Appalachia, where we come from. I know it sounds hilarious, right, guys?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping in 6 months that Hollywood has recognized how much money they will make if they let people from that area tell a story like that, A. And B, I'm hopeful for it because I know everyone is pitching kind of quarantine or pandemic or Trump shit right now. And we're hopefully different because we've set our show in the 90s. So I'm hoping to be doing that. And I'm hoping to be kind of back on the road if we're not doing that, or maybe doing both if we can manage.
Yeah. Do you think that touring will be back up again by February, or?
I think it'll start back up in February, or people will attempt to start back up in February. My honest answer is no. If Trump loses, We might get back by April.
Right.
If he wins again, Matt, I'm going to be honest with you, and I mean you too, Tara, but you're not as invested in our country. I can be a little tinfoil hatty, so understand that I'm not necessarily a reasonable person. I have a lot of anxiety in general, but our country's going to be very, very, very different in 10 years, no matter what. And if he wins again, I don't know, Matt. I don't know. Did you guys get married? I can't remember. I'll marry either of you, and if you can find someone that for my wife to marry, I need to move.
We're both married to other people, but so sorry.
God damn it. Can you guys have a kid?
I've got
I would marry your kid.
That's very weird. Her kids are like 3
I
and
was
1.
I was just thinking about a green card. Nothing weird.
Yeah.
So sorry.
And my kid won't be born yet. So
did you know that Matt's having a baby? Matt's having a baby.
No.
How exciting is this?
Yeah.
What? That's such a hopeful thing for Matt to do. Are you kidding?
I know.
Crazy.
It feels like such a mistake. But then I was just like, I didn't enjoy my life much past my 30s, so why do I, my kid only lives to 30. That's probably all right.
Wow, that is bleak. Far out, man.
Yeah, I got to be honest, Tara. Earlier, I think it caught it before we cut out. I made an off-color joke about Matt's parents potentially dying, and both of you were like,
yes,
wow,
thank you for bringing that back up. That's great.
Yeah, and I believed you, Tara. Like, I believed you were like, Jesus, that's dark. I didn't believe Matt. Fuck you, Matt. I know what you were doing. You were trying to make me look bad. This is the darkest
no, that's fine.
I have ever known.
I was never offended by that joke, and I am painfully aware of your sense of humor, Drew, and so I was never offended by what you said.
In my opinion, one of the many reasons, and by many I mean like 4, Matt and I always got along, is how sort of cynically or nihilistically we kind of view the world. The whole special that we were just talking about, a solid half of it is about all the reasons I don't think I want kids. And then in spite of all of that, though, I still think we're going to do it. I feel like 95% of all the tools I use in my life to make a decision, logic, planning, whatever else you might use, is telling me not to have a kid. But then there's just that biology thing deep down inside a person where it's like, I don't know, I just kind of want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard somebody put it once. It's like, I don't know, it just feels like life, and you want to be part of life, and it feels like a thing that is enriching, as difficult as it is. I don't know, Terry, you're the only actual parent here. Would you agree that it is enriching, or is it infuriating, or?
I think one of the things that obviously it's mine, like you're absolutely overwhelmed with love, but I think the thing that shocked me was that you think you're going to be this great parent and you're going to correct all your parents' mistakes, but then suddenly you find yourself saying stuff or doing things that you're like, oh my God, that is literally, my mom or my dad or whatever. And so suddenly you're like, oh, like it's crazy. It just brings up like all this childhood stuff. And then that can be quite confronting, at least it was for me, where it was like, oh, there's a whole load of like repressed stuff there. But it's been good because it's kind of like an opportunity for healing as well, because suddenly you're like, okay, I have an opportunity to do things differently for this kid. And if I can like work on this and work on myself, I can be, I don't know, kinder or some bullshit.
Selfless, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's the most full-on experience I think is possible in some ways. It's amazing, but it's also exceptionally difficult. But it's definitely worth doing. I cannot I just think it's the most purposeful thing in my life. But also the hardest. So I don't know. I would never tell anyone to have children if you don't want them. Like if people are like, oh, I don't think I want kids, I wouldn't be like, do it. You got to do it. Cause you just, it's just should never force anyone to do it. Cause it's really full on.
I've definitely heard of people, and in the comedy world where comedians are trying to be quote unquote more honest or talk about whatever. I've heard a few people, not a lot, but a few people say, I don't regret it, but I wouldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't do it again if I could go back. I've had people come up to me after shows when I first started doing the jokes about not being super sure about Andy and I having kids. I had people come up tell me not to. They're like, if you're having second thoughts, don't do it. And I'd be like, oh, you don't have kids? They'd be like, no, I do have kids. And that was
right.
But what I realized, though, is that people who had kids and didn't regret it at all, they didn't have a reason to bring that up with me after the show. So I was getting these people who were like, oh, you validated my experience, whereas everyone else just wasn't bringing it up. They probably thought I was an asshole. They're like, fuck you, I like my kids or whatever. So I realized it was kind of a biased thing.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good that you can think about it like that and not like this is like every parent secretly hates all their kids and like fucking regrets their life.
Well, I will say Trey, our mutual friend Trey, who I tour with, who has 2 kids, he would make it impossible for me or anyone to believe that everyone hates being a dad because it's like his favorite thing.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It's literally like amazing. Like, I mean, literally.
Well, maybe in 6 months we'll be pregnant.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That would be such a great exclusive for this show. If you could just, I'm not telling you to do it, but if you could, you'd be really doing us a favor, I think.
Yeah. Matt told me on the show, but
that's such a head trip for me when I think about it, that you go from not having them in your life to having them in your life forever or forever overnight.
Yeah, it's full on. I'm really looking for. Actually, in fact, in 6 months' time, you will have the baby, Matt, so you'll be able to talk about it from this.
Yeah, we can talk about it then.
Yeah,
and maybe I'll be one of the people who's like, Drew, don't do it. It was a huge mistake.
Well, no one's ever said, and maybe they feel like they have, but they all say, I don't regret it. I wouldn't trade them for anything. But if you don't think you want to do it, don't.
That makes perfect sense.
I mean, I've definitely had people tell me, like I had a cashier at Tesco the other day, be like, enjoy. She just made some remark where she was just like, you've got 2, huh? They're close together. Enjoy that. I've got 4. Wish I never had them. And it was just like,
what?
Thank you. Can you just, all right, I'll take my groceries now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That is an intense experience at the grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe she was just like offloading some stuff.
Person.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially as they were just sitting there as well, both of them just like looking happily at her, and she's just like, like.
Yes, it wasn't even like they were screaming and like melting down. They were just like being bucolic little children, like just little angels. And she's like, fuck those kids.
Anyway. It's fine. Hopefully America is in a better state, I guess, for children rearing as a prospect. Okay, so we're meant to do a swing prediction, right? Like, as in, like, so what do you have any big swing predictions for 6 months' time? Like,
I'll do America because when I read your question, and this was very American of me, that's what I was thinking about.
That's your right as an American. You don't have to think about any other countries ever.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Biden or Trump winning will change much in 6 months. I think one or the other winning could change a lot in the next 2 years or whatever. It's weird. I've been talking about this for a while on my own podcast. I feel good. The last 2 months, I guess just like my mental health, like my chemicals are right. I've been feeling really good, but my outlook is not positive. And I do worry that if he loses, there will be violent events from his followers, whether they be shootings or whatever. But as far as long-term issues, I don't worry about that because, and maybe I'm naive, but I don't think, other than the police in this country, I don't think yet that our institutions are so corrupt that it would matter. In other words, if he loses and he's like, well, I'm just going to continue to be president, I genuinely don't believe the leaders of our army would they'd be like, fuck you. Like, they're tired of it.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's made me feel a lot more positive, weirdly. It's like, yeah, of course it's not going to go anywhere. Like, yeah, I think it was more that thought that I felt like actually he's, maybe got people everywhere or whatever, but
he does have people everywhere. I'm not saying I'm not afraid of the Bud Light Brigade, but I do think if he loses, I'm not worried that he'll be able to become our dictator. But if he loses, I am worried that violence will happen. I am worried about it.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's like, like if he loses and refuses to leave, like the Secret Service will be like, okay, well, we'll just take you out now. That's not your decision. We will this is our job. We will escort you from the building. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's not gonna.
I do think that. By the way, everyone listening, I am very funny. I do not know why on podcasts, I feel like I have this tendency to either just go super serious and dark with no jokes or just talk about my white trash family. And it's very funny, but then that's all people know about me. I feel like people who discover me on podcasts either think I'm Larry the Cable Guy's little brother, or they're like, I thought you were funny.
You're like Larry the Cable Guy's nephew who went off to college and became a huge asshole after taking like one philosophy class.
I was just going to say Larry the Cable Guy is not a redneck. He went to college in the South and learned how to be Larry the Cable Guy from his friends. So that's like he went off to college and became fucking Larry the Cable Guy.
But yeah, no, I will say that I can vouch for the fact that Drew is very funny. I've been on many shows with Drew and seen him do some very amazing bits of comedy. So if you do have a chance to see him live, I recommend it. Drew, so we're not going to say goodbye because through the miracle of editing, we are going to continue this conversation in 6 months. But something that we have decided to do is that we have asked our guests to start a joke setup that they have no punchline for, and then you have 6 months to write a punchline. So what we'll do is we'll edit it together. So we have the setup and the punchline seamlessly together.
Damn it. Guys, I'm drawing a blank. I have, because like my jokes, I tell stories. So I'm thinking
all right.
Maybe I'll just start the beginning of a story.
Yeah,
all right,
do
I'll
that.
Start the beginning of the story. This is perfect. I got it. All right, where we're camping right now, and this is real, and I don't know what's going to happen, so I don't know the rest of the story. Today, this morning,
is there a bear outside your car?
four families have like kind of moved in on top of us. As is their right, it's a first come first serve. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just that we had this little corner of this campground to ourselves, the four of us, me and Andy and our two friends, and now we have a mixed race, Mexican-American and white American family, 4 families. There's like 60 of them moving in and grilling. And they're very nice, and they want to drink with us. And I'm curious about where it's going to go, because I think on the one hand, they're going to be a lot of fun. On the other hand, I know they're going to be very loud. And 2 of the women with us, my wife and our friend Audrey, they like going to bed early, and they're very vocal about people needing to shut the fuck up. So we might have a pairing situation on our hands at my campsite. Okay. So the beginning of my joke is, so we were camping in the Sequoias. It was super secluded and full of nature, and we just had to get out of LA and get away from all the things about LA that can stress you out. Not necessarily bad, but like people and loud music and all the drunk and the traffic. And then 60 people came in, took over, started cooking and drinking. LA came to the Sequoia National Forest. And then I realized that while I like camping, what I really like is getting the fuck away from LA. Because once LA came to the forest, nothing about the forest was appealing. Because now we have all these folks. We had music, traffic, drunks, racial tension. Not between us, but among the mixed raced family. Like, my Sunbright High School Spanish is very weak, but from what I gather, the middle son's wife is a punta who thinks that just because she married a Mexican, she can pretend to be oppressed now. And I was on the grandmother's side, but I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to hear birds. And it made me question everything, because it made me realize all the things I was putting up with just to be in the forest. Bugs, heat, sleeping on dirt, the way farts just will not leave a tent. I don't know if I like camping or I hate cities.
Excellent.
That
was so great. Yeah, I don't get the appeal in camping at all, because I love cities. If I could camp in a city, that'd be, I don't know. I should get in on more Black Friday deals, because it's the ideal opportunity to camp in a city.
Yeah, man, just move back to America and let a pandemic happen. There's going to be a lot of people camping in cities soon.
Drew, how have you been?
I've been okay. I've been pretty good. I just got, I've been shitting on my government pretty strong for the last 6 months, both state and national, but I just got health care because I made no money last year. I have an interview on Friday to get back on unemployment, even though they have first accused me of fraud. I'm not super sure why. I guess I'll find out. And I've been doing the whole, it comes and goes in waves with the quarantine. Yeah. There's been like deep depression and fatness and drunkenness. Sure. And I'm currently on a 2-week, sleeping fairly well, eating pretty well, only drink once, like meditating a lot. My wife has me doing this gratitude practice, which is the type of thing I made fun of for years, and it's genuinely changing my DNA. So I think I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Wow. Because I was going to say, you actually look You look really well.
Oh, thank you.
Like when I saw you, I was like, God, you look good.
Like not compared to last time. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you just sort of look well and you look happy. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear about the work stuff though, because the comedy situation, I guess worldwide, is just such a nightmare. But yeah, I really hope obviously that it can pick up again at some point this year, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it will.
But yeah, so what have you been up to in the last 6 months?
Well, I guess to catch you guys up on some of the things we talked about.
Right.
Speaking of comedy, so the one project we had going was Soundly Rejected.
Oh, it sounded good.
It was good. I was so proud of it, and I'm even prouder of it now because since that time we worked on it even more and honed our pitch. It's frustrating. It's scary a little bit. Hollywood has made a push for diversity, which is beautiful, and a sort of side effect or whatever of that is that everyone kind of is trying to stay in their own wheelhouse, which is great. I shouldn't be telling stories about, gay black teenagers or whatever, which is how it was before, if every story was just written by a white man or whatever. I bring that up because we very much pitched our story, and this is the best we've ever done at it. And we do have a gnawing fear that what it is we do, and if anybody out there's listening is like, I don't know you, what is it that you do? It's sort of the other side of rural America. That's not Larry the Cable Guy. We're growing very afraid that Hollywood's just not interested in that story.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating because we did a great job.
Yeah.
And we felt like only one exec got it, and he thought a lot about it and ended up passing.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's gutting.
I was just saying, one of the things we got told, this is kind of funny, is we really loved it, but we already have a story about pain pills, and our story is not about pain pills. It just has a guy who that happens to him because that's part of our history. Anyway, that's the kind of thing, And look, Hollywood does this to everybody, What I mean? They try to reduce everybody to a marketable thing. It is what it is. But anyway, that's the professional side of my life. Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. It sounded like a really interesting pitch. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to shop it around and maybe find somebody who sees the genius in it.
Yeah, I hope so. We're working on a cartoon now, and maybe that's more what they can stomach. I think King of the Hill, if it taught us anything, it's that people who are very normal in my life sound like cartoons to the rest of America. So maybe we could do a cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, you remember my ex, Jenny, right? She was
a little bit.
She was Appalachian. She was a writer, and she was very steeped in the culture, like the arts culture of Appalachia, which was very much trying to be like, no, we're not just hicks and hillbillies and people who stuck in the hollow. Like, we're people with rich inner lives. There's a lot going on than just the image that's frankly projected by people like Hollywood. And you see this as this kind of like, well, it's classism, basically. And it is this like
Mostly.
kind of insidious way of dehumanizing the people of Appalachia so that they can be dismissed when they complain about things like mountaintop removal or, the opioid epidemic. You can just say like, oh, those hicks, they don't know what they're doing. They're just idiots, And I feel like that prejudice still persists in a huge way.
Absolutely.
And I'm not from Appalachia, but I've lived there for many years and, lived with people from there. And I that's what I have observed anyways. But,
You're completely right. And I guess we're comedians, so it's not like we walk into a room and we say all the things you just said and say, we're going to change that. But it's more of like, you brought us in this room because you thought we had a unique perspective on a very cool part of America. And we think that we do. Mm-hmm. But as we do this back and forth with you, it's like a lot of the feedback, it's like, we don't get it. Can we change this part? And it's like, well, no. I mean, yeah, if you give us enough money, maybe, but like you brought us here because you don't know these things. So that's very weird. But again, this is a very almost cliche, like pretty standard complaint. You know what I mean? If you ask a young black writer or a young gay writer about being pigeonholed by Hollywood, I'm certain that it's even worse. So that's just where we're at. But I'm excited about the cartoon. I really am. The production company we're working with is tried and true, very, very excellent. So
great. That's really good. Yeah. Well, that turns out. So, you did make a very accurate prediction about the period after the election. So kudos on that, I guess. I don't know.
I was going to say, my wife has this thing she says about me that when she first met me, she thought I loved being right. And as she got to know me over the years, she was like, you are addicted to like the chemical rush of being right, but you actually hate being right. I fucking hated being right about it.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
But anyway, I mean, I don't know. Okay, I was right. Pat me on the back. It was fucking sad. There was violence, but if I'm honest, I don't want to talk about him anymore. Like,
that's fair. I feel the same way.
It's the part of me thinks that's dangerous because it's like we can't just pretend he didn't go away, and QAnon, which is weird, hasn't gone away, and white supremacy has never gone away in this country. So I don't want to just pretend like it doesn't exist, but just Donald Trump's name in general. Fuck.
Yeah. So nice that he sort of doesn't, because his Twitter account doesn't exist anymore. It's like, I was thinking about the fact it's like, God, I just don't ever hear about him anymore. Like, it's amazing. And I don't hear like, oh, Donald Trump just tweeted this. It's like, I don't have to fucking hear his stupid opinions anymore. It's so great.
It really has neutered him in a way that is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing, but it's scary. And I'm not defending Donald Trump, and I'm not one of these free speech warriors. But it is wild to just think about Twitter being able to just make someone irrelevant like that. Specifically because I don't trust like big tech. Like they're like outside of white supremacists, they're one of the 3 or 4 most evil entities in America. They've proven it over and over again. Because what I'm afraid is going to happen is that Patriot Act 2 is going to be created in order to, get rid of these QAnon terrorists or whatever they end up calling the people who did the insurrection. And instead, it's just going to be used to chill dissent and ruin Black Lives Matter and all kinds of other stuff. But I'm very cynical. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's fair. I mean, I think it speaks to the shallowness of his appeal and that he can't worm his way into people's brains by just like screaming. It's like the same way that like he's like a crazy guy on the bus and he's just screaming and you can't tune him out. And now he's ejected from the bus and it's just like, oh, he's screaming outside, but nobody can hear him and we're better off for it. Anyways, I don't know if that metaphor tracks.
You're right about that. Like if he were really a great leader, he'd get people to follow him off the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, he's probably now starting his own Twitter or just his website. I was actually thinking about going to his website just to see what he's up to.
Why? Don't do that.
Just because I guess it's that worrying thing of like, well, what is he doing?
Oh yeah, it's like when your kids are quiet and then you're like, well, they're a bit too quiet.
Yeah, exactly. You spend your whole day wanting a break and then you're like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would know about that now, Matt.
Yeah.
I know. It's so exciting.
I had a baby.
How long ago?
Gosh, it's not even 2 weeks ago. It was.
Wow.
Yeah. It was the 30th. We had the baby. So I'm still on maternity leave or paternity leave.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been an experience. It's been a lot of being, I don't know. It's been good. It's been hard. It's weird how like now it's just that's my life and how quickly I've adjusted to it. And it's just like, was there ever a time I didn't have a baby?
Does it feel that way? Like
it kind of does, yeah. I mean, but it's also
because you're a father.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, time is weird now because you only get like everything's in like the 2 or 3 hour like loop of like he wakes up, you feed him, you change him, you try to get him to go back to sleep, and then in that time you do other things, potentially all your own sleeps. You're not even sleeping more than like a couple hours at a time at best. So, but it's been exciting. Today's been a rough day. He's gone through like 4 outfits today. He's just peed in
fashion show
through his diaper into 4 outfits, but he's great. I like him. Yeah, I was telling Tara before. I don't know. He's like good. He doesn't do anything, and he has like no personality. But his just look at his little face, and he's just like, hey, you little dumb face. Look at your little stupid face. It's just.
Todd Glass used to have that great bit about wanting to squish all the babies and the puppies. It's just so cute. I want to mush you.
Crush him into one big ball. And so he's and I don't know. I don't even mind that he's ginger. That's
Is he actually?
What's that supposed to mean?
Is he actually ginger?
Oh, he's very ginger. Yeah, he's gonna.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
You got a problem with gingers?
No,
my beard's not that red looking today.
Very red. I had a very red. The first time I grew a beard, it was basically the same thing. It was like super red. So the kid got all the recessive genes. He has like a rare blood type because he got the recessive genes from me and his mother. He got the ginger genes from me and his mother. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. And he's called Tavish.
And
so he's going to be this awesome Scottish ginger Tavish.
Yeah.
You're walking around being like, hello, I'm Tavish.
Yeah, that's going to be. He's going to kilt wearing every day.
Tavish sounds like an adjective in like a book that was over my head. Like she came in looking tavish. I don't know. That's not an insult. I like it. It's a rad name.
He addressed the crowd in a tavish manner.
I'm just like, I'm sitting there reading it in Sunbright, Tennessee. Man, this is what they do in Britain. I don't fucking know.
I'll look that up later. I'll just underline it now.
Daddy, you're acting tavishly. And then he hits me.
Yeah.
Speaking of stereotypes and us breaking them.
Yeah. But you were thinking, I don't know, have you thought any more about having kids? Or because that was kind of a thing that you were wrestling with?
I guess we're still wrestling with it. I think this pandemic has made, the timing of this pandemic in our lives has made that question loom. Because it feels irresponsible to do when we have such an uncertain future.
Right.
But at the same time, we're like at that age where it's like time to make that call. Andy, my wife, I think she's dreamed about having a baby the last 7 nights. So
Whoa.
I think biologically we're in the zone, So she just walked in. Maybe we should change subjects. Nah, it's not. I mean, it's not that uncomfortable. We've been talking about it. It's like, it's just I can't tell you. There's some days where I look at this and I'm like, I'm going to get on unemployment. Joe Biden's going to do the right thing in terms of student loans. Mm-hmm. I have insurance for the year because we didn't make any money. For the first time in my life, I have free insurance. I'm going to look back on this year and go, it was fine. And then there's other days where it's like, they're not going to let me on unemployment. They're going to kick me off insurance for some reason that I haven't figured out yet. Joe Biden's not going to do the right thing because he never has his entire fucking political career. I'm going to owe all my student loans. Yeah. And this year ruined me. So anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah. I know you're being sincere, but Matt, you sounded so
Did it really?
insincere.
I'm so sorry. That's
sorry.
Sorry.
Anyway, my baby, who I have to keep alive, a thing that you clearly aren't ready to take on yourself.
Oh, I don't know.
He peed again, so whatever, Drew.
Yeah. No, I've seen worse parents than you would be, Drew. So I'm sure. Anyways.
Yeah, I think I'd figure it out.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful compliment, Matt. Jesus.
Seen worse.
I don't know. I just think it's funny. I think people try and wait, or trust me, I'm not trying to convince you to have kids, but at the same time, like, I don't think there's like a perfect time to have kids. I think if it happens, you'll make it work. That's basically what I think.
Yeah, I think that's sound advice. I think also the pandemic is a nice excuse to continue to put off that decision because I don't know if I've made it, you know what I mean, in my head and in my heart yet. I don't know if I've decided if that's what I want to do, and this gives me a chance to put that off.
Right.
I'm having a dad gap year.
That's fine.
I think everyone's entitled to have a gap year this year. That's for sure. I'm letting myself have a gap year from all the pressures of my head of being like, you're meant to be achieving things all the time.
Sure.
But I wanted to say, listening back to the episode, just to check back in, because I think I was really struggling actually with where I was at in terms of parenting then, and I think I sounded a bit negative. I gotta say, the last couple of weeks, I've just been like, far out, man. This is awesome. Like, my 2 boys now, Sammy's going to be 2 next month. Charlie's coming up to 3.5. And they're just getting to the most awesome age where they are so much fun. And they're like my little buddies. Like, I swear, like, we were out on a walk today, and I took them up the common, and we ran down to the park, and like, it's just, I don't know, it's just felt awesome. Like, they're so fun and they're so funny now, and they're getting more independent. And I feel like I've come out of that sort of real difficult, like, it's been a hard, that when they're really little, like what Matt's in now.
Yeah. I look at him, I'm like, you useless bastard. Just do something fun. Like every time I think he smiles, I'm like, no, you're just like, it's just fucking gas.
Farting.
It's just like, he's farting. I'm like, I'm really connecting with him. Oh no, he just farted. That's. I mean, it's like the most heartbreaking thing because you're just like, oh, he's gonna be this fun, bubbly little kid, and it's like for the first couple of weeks, he's just like an annoying piece of shit. Like,
it's tough. That first
Matt, so far, Matt's review is, I like him. I mean, it's been heartbreaking, and he's an annoying piece of shit who I can't connect with.
2 stars.
But I like him.
Yeah. No, I love him to pieces, and I just want to crush him. I don't know.
But it's a tough time, man. Like I think that first couple of years, it's full on. There are really beautiful moments in it, don't get me wrong. And like you're gonna, and especially in like he'll start smiling properly at you in a few weeks, and you are just gonna be blown away. You're like, your heart will melt. It's so beautiful when they smile at you properly for the first time. So there are beautiful moments in those early days, but I'm just saying, like, once you start getting through those ridiculously sleepless nights and they start becoming a bit more independent, they get really funny opinions and stuff, it is fun, man. Like, it's really fun.
Right now, most of the fun is fashion related. Because you put a little onesie on him, it's like, this one's got a tiny duck on it, it's adorable. Or like, this one's got dinosaurs on it. Oh my gosh,
that's a good point.
I don't know, that's been mostly what I've been enjoying. I've gotten to go through all his outfits today because again, he peed through every diaper today.
Do you think rappers sell like branded onesies? Because I want my kid to have like a 2 Chainz.
I imagine they must. Yeah.
Or like a Run the Jewels bib. That'd be like, I guess it's like the widest thing you can do.
Yeah. I think that.
It's like pretend like you have this very white but like woke baby or whatever.
Yeah. It's like you're walking around with your baby in a dashiki, and people are like, "No, man."
That's not what I meant. That's
but I mean, like, Run the Jewels onesie or a Wu-Tang Clan onesie, and they're just like, we know, guy, we get it.
Yeah, we get it. You're cool.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, my husband actually bought our friend their baby a Wu-Tang Clan onesie.
Yeah.
So
I'm pro. I'm making fun of myself because I want that. I want Outcast.
Yeah. There you go. Just like, and you know what would be great is a onesie that says Stankonia. Because babies stink.
There you go.
Think you cracked this. So if you're looking for this is your Etsy store for when comedy's out. your line of onesie or rat-based onesies, you know.
Great.
Drew, I gotta say, listening back to your WA story again, I honestly think is one of the best stories. I just loved it so much about going to Perth and like the night that you had
Western
in Perth.
Australia. I was like, WA, what?
Oh, sorry, Western Australia.
She does this to me all the time. She just throws her out these Australian terms. Like the other day, she threw out one called sock or something, and it was sook. Yeah.
As in, like, if you're calling someone a wuss, you call them a sook.
Okay, is that word at all? Does it have a history of misogyny or homophobia that I didn't know about?
Oh God,
because
not that I know of.
Every American version of that word, except for wuss, used to be a slur for gay people.
Yeah.
Except for pussy, which is obviously a pretty misogynistic slur, or at least it can be. So it's like one of those things where, like, I want a word where I can call cowards. I like cowards sometimes, but I want a word. So sook, am I saying it right?
Sook, yeah. I mean, I don't really think anyone uses it other than people in, maybe it's just a Perth thing. I don't even know if it's Australia-wide. But anyway, it's definitely Australian and no one says it anywhere else. So, but Matt keeps saying sock instead of sook, which is quite funny.
I think if you want to call somebody, you could just call them tavish. You're saying they're acting very tavish. And that's what that means.
Don't say that. Tavish is like awesome. We tried to go out the other day to get takeaway on Friday night because we were like, you know what, like, we've been in lockdown so long, let's just do something fun. So we went to like try and pick up takeaway, and it was like an hour wait for Thai, so we were just like, oh, forget that, we'll go to McDonald's. So we drove to McDonald's and there was a queue that was literally like 2 hours long, and it was just like, you know what, we'll just go to Tesco and buy a pizza, and that's what we did. And the boys were very disappointed, but anyway.
At 3 for pizza?
I think it was well, because they wanted Happy Meals. They wanted the toy.
Right.
They thought they were going to get a minion. They love the minions that come with the Happy Meals, which I don't think they do anymore. But
yeah, my limited experience as an uncle, Matt, is that nothing is more disappointing than leaving a McDonald's without food and a Happy Meal. Like, there's nothing you could offer them at that point.
Yeah, I was like, but we'll get to have pizza. And they were like, will we get a toy? And I was like, I don't think they have toys at Tesco at the moment. It's like a nightmare.
Oh, look at these. It's fun. AA batteries.
They love batteries, so that wouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, I knew that.
They're always like, can I get in fact, Charlie said that today. He was like, can I get the batteries? And I was like, yeah, you can hold the batteries. He was like, I'm getting to hold the batteries. It's amazing.
Yeah. You don't want kids. They love batteries.
Like that story had it all.
Yeah.
That story was, it was a fucking nightmare. We couldn't get McDonald's. They were having a meltdown. We got them pizza, but that wouldn't make them shut up. And then right when I was about to make a joke about how you guys are not doing a good job selling this, then you were like, and then his face was just washed over with wonder because of batteries. That sounds nice to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it is so sweet. But I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, when I'm having a good day, I would convince anyone to be a parent. And when I'm having a bad day, and I'm literally like, I should just get up and leave, just drive, just go anywhere. You know, like, as in those days.
Jesus Christ.
I just need to get out. I just won't come back. Yeah, on those days, I'm not like the person to be convincing you of anything.
I'll get a haircut. I have a city picked out. There's a guy there. I've heard about him. I've never contacted him personally, but this lady I know, she says he'll get you a new identity. All you need is 100,000 pounds. I've raised 80. I have the 80 aside. I'm going to give it to the kids, but if I don't give it to the kids, it's for me.
Yeah, that's Tara's inner monologue all the time. Yeah. I don't know.
She's like done 90% of what she has to do to get the fuck out of town. The day she decides not to do it, she's like, all right, kids, you're 17 and I've decided to keep you. You have a trust fund now because I raised $1 million to leave you, and I don't know. I guess I love it.
It's not exactly a trust fund, but I have 100,000 pounds taped underneath this dresser drawer.
But we need to get back to you, Drew.
Drew. Sorry.
Sorry. About this taking this. I've got some. My first question was, are Matt's parents alive?
Yes, my parents are alive. That is.
Which we've talked about.
We talked about that before we started, but
God.
my parents are very much alive.
Oh yeah, that was before we started recording. Yeah, I was listening back and I was like, man, you're a psycho, Drew. I know why that was funny at the time, but if one of his parents died, you're not getting out of this. Like, there's just no way that you can just be like, I'm sorry, I didn't know the future. It's like, yeah, that's why you don't make those jokes, dickhead.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It was.
Has there anything else been going on with your life, Drew, that you want to talk about? Anything else that you're really into right now, or that surprised you listening back to the podcast when you listened to it?
In terms of going back on the podcast and listening, I was surprised by how little I remembered.
Really?
I don't know if it's age. I guess it could be age, but I think it's quarantine. I feel like my brain's not working right.
Yeah, no.
Does anybody else feel that way?
Yeah. It turns out that we all needed the structure of society to keep us kind of running. And now that rug was pulled out from underneath us, we're all just like flailing and like trying to figure out what day it is and when the last time I showered was, and everything like that.
Well, it's just like, it felt like you sent me a dream. It's like, that's the only way that I can describe it. You send me this, I remember doing it. I know what the concept is. I'm excited to listen back. And then, I get on there and we all start talking, and I'm like, I've heard old interviews before and I remember them. You know what I mean? Like, this is weird, and it feels like you sent me a dream from a decade ago. That's the other thing. So that was like kind of surreal listening back.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys do this often now, I guess, right? I guess every week you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've felt the same way as you. The number of times I go, oh my God, yeah, I completely forgot about that. Like, it's really crazy.
It is weird. Yeah. It's a weird experience because we do this every week now. After 6 months of just like throwing information into my computer and not, and then now we're like dredging it back up and like listening to it and sharing it with other people and having people, listen back, like your experience where you're like, oh yeah, 6 months ago, And when I came up with this concept, I was like, is 6 months going to be enough time? And it turned out, I don't know if it's the age that we live in, But 6 months turns out to be a massive amount of time. And at the same time, no time at all.
Yeah,
it was a little surreal. And then the only thing I'm into, and I don't know if I remember if I talked about this before we started recording or not, but my friend DJ and I have a podcast called Into the Abiscuit, where we discuss kind of dark existential type stuff, but with a comedy bent and with a very southern bent. DJ was in prison for a long time. He's a very interesting guy. He's an artist in every sense of the word. He makes music, poetry, comedy. He draws, makes comics. And it's just fun for me to like pick his brain about existential topics. But our newest project related to that is every other Friday. And by the way, you're both welcome to do it. Oh my God, we should have an international flavor to this. Every other Friday, we do a Zoom show. We have about 70 people, 50 to 70 people join us every other Friday on a Zoom stream. I have comics do comedy and musicians sing, and then I interview them with DJ afterwards. So it's like you do a small set, and then we have a talk show afterwards. And we called it, this is like an inside joke on the podcast, the Church of the Eat Fruit and Fuck. And stemming from that, what I'm into lately is creating a fake cult, which is really just an art project, in which our fans and our patrons on our Patreon are just helping us make up a religion that's centered around like Appalachian art and being kind to people. And then like we've found that as long as you just keep reminding people that the only real rule is that none of this is real, so don't kill me or anyone else or whatever. Like it's not really a cult, you know what I mean?
Right.
As long as we keep reminding each other that, it's been a lot of fun. And it's been a weird, interesting human experience because people do get very precious about their idea or the art that they've created, and then there's like an automatic hierarchy, right? Like they're arguing about what it should be, so they ask me and DJ, and that way it feels very church-like or whatever. And I'm like, this is so weird, but it's fun because DJ has genuinely a pure heart, and I'm learning to let go. Like I'm learning to give people little pieces of art DJ and I created and let them do whatever they wanted to with it, and that's tough for me because I'm not good at collaborating.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Do you know, this is so funny. I feel like this could just be the beginning of something like really funny, or it could be like in like a few years time, like people look up this podcast to like find out about the beginning, as in like
right, like later
somebody's
on
gonna murder me.
This audio will be in a true crime podcast about the kind of Heaven's Gate end of Drew's podcast.
As long as they kill me and it's cool the way they do it, that's fine with me.
So if they were killing you in a cool way, you'd be like, man, all right, guys.
I'd be like, God damn it, this is pretty cool. No. My cult is rad. Yeah. But if we just like break up because we get into a fight over what color the t-shirts will be, I'll be like, damn, my cult sucks.
Yeah.
See, to me, if my immediate thing is like, if you're gonna go to all of this effort, you may as well set it up legally so that you can not pay tax. Yeah. But then it takes it that step further where
we have talked about doing that, and hopefully there will be a day when we do it. And like it's weird because there's a small part of me that wants this to get out of hand, but only like in that way. Like why are we filing paperwork? Obviously I don't want anyone to get hurt. And then there's a small part of me, and DJ and I talked about this, where I don't want to do it at all. It makes me very nervous, but I'm not the right kind of charming to actually pull off something sinister.
You're pretty charming, Drew.
I can be, and by the way, it's going to sound like I'm giving myself a compliment, but this is mostly just ego. I wouldn't be able to stomach like being quote unquote fake. If this ever became a real cult, it would end too quickly because I would tell somebody would be like, what should we do about this? And did you know she said that? And I'd be like, shut the fuck up. I don't give a fuck. Go away. And then they would leave. You know what I mean?
Like, they probably wouldn't though. They'd write it into the new scripture. Drew has said, shut the fuck up. And that is what we shall all say from now on.
We've angered Drew. We must bring him more gifts.
More money, more
they're
gifts.
Pretty good. They're pretty good at reminding me that DJ is the one that they love in a religious way.
DJ's from Chattanooga, right?
Just south of there.
Yeah, I think I've met him a couple of times when I lived in Tennessee. He is an interesting dude. Yeah,
that's Matt speak for. I judged him because he had mutton chops and tattoos, and I thought I was smarter than him.
That's not
Matt's blushing.
No, he seemed like a real iconoclast. He seemed like an interesting guy. Like he literally
that's exactly what he is.
I didn't get to meet him, and I didn't really get to talk to him all that much. But every time I saw him, I'd be like, that's a dude doing his own thing, and like God,
that's the perfect word for him.
God bless him. But yeah,
he's one of those people who like because he was in prison for the years that most of us learned how to like form ourselves and create our identity. Mm-hmm. His is both more contrived and not contrived at all compared to the rest of us, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like because he couldn't be a human being during those years of 16 to 25, he had to contrive his identity. But it's also purer than most people's because he was like, well, I'm out of prison. The world's completely different, and I wasn't allowed to be a child then. I guess I'll just do it now. Anyway, he's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So where do we go if we want to join the cult? Like, what are we?
Tara, you.
I'm not going to join the cult, Matt, but I'm just saying, like, for the listeners, like, how do people join up to this cult?
Yes. Well, every other Friday, if you follow me on social media at Drew Moore Comedy, every other Friday we have quote unquote church, which is just a comedy variety show on Zoom. And then if you join my podcast Patreon, that's where you could become a part of the group writing the Bible, as it were. But if you just want to hang out with us, just listen to the Into the Abiscuit podcast and check out a live comedy show every other Friday.
Nice.
Epic. Sounds so fun.
That sounds like a really fun project.
Yeah.
Kind of keep you going. And
okay, so Matt, do you want to ask any final? Have we missed anything?
No, I mean it sounds like we've kind of covered what you've been up to the last 6 months. Is there anything you kind of wish you'd known 6 months ago that you know now?
Yeah, how long it was going to take. I guess I think I was still even then naive about the vaccine and just the disease itself. I guess I just hadn't really researched what herd immunity was. Like I was like, yeah, they're just going to let everybody die, but we'll be back to normal by February.
Yeah.
I think I would have moved home and let my apartment go and just kind of, saved up money.
Yeah. I think, we've all been kind of like holding out hope. Like, it's just like, prosperity is just around the corner. We're just there's going to be some magic bullet. And now even like this stuff with the vaccines where they're like, oh, the vaccines don't work very well on a bunch of variants, and it's like maybe the vaccines aren't even going to fix everything. And it's just going to be another year of this. But
well, this is the positivity podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for thanks for listening, everybody.
I'm doing better than I expected 6 months ago. How about that mentally?
That's great.
That's good.
That's important. So that's very positive. It's good to stay positive and stay mentally.
The people listening to this podcast are like, yeah, we just heard you for an hour.
Wait, this is better? Oh my God.
Drew, is there anything like what's next for you? Like what are your plans sort of coming up?
I think I'm going to fly to Tennessee and cheat my way into getting the vaccine, but I'm not stealing it from somebody. They're going to waste in my home county because of QAnon.
Sure.
Literally. I don't know. We're still trying to get TV shows made. I don't know when I'm going to be back on the road. When I get the vaccine, I'm probably going to try to go back on the road on my own, even if Well Red's not ready to, just to remember how to tell a joke. So follow me at Drew Moore Comedy on all platforms, and that's it.
Yeah, and check out Into the Abiscuit. Sounds like a fascinating podcast, and yeah, great.
Go to church on Fridays. That sounds really fun. Yeah, I really want to do that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
We need an international bent to it. You guys come on anytime. You can't come this Friday because it's booked up, but anytime February 26th or after, y'all are welcome on.
Okay.
Thank you, mate. That'd be awesome.
I might send Tara as our representative. I was thinking I haven't been on a stage in like a year at this point, and I tried to think of a joke the other day, and it just like it evaporated, and I was like, I really should have written all those down.
Do old ones.
I've never written down any of my jokes.
Are you serious?
What?
Yeah, I've never written down a single joke.
Matt's the Jay-Z of comedy.
Yeah, apparently. So which is amazing because I have a terrible memory. So and now it's really bitten me in the ass.
Well, I remember loads of your jokes.
As long as I did them every once in a while, I would remember them. But now that I haven't done them,
you're like very specific. It's not like you ramble and then find the punchline.
Yeah,
he's the Rain Man of comedy.
Sorry, I'm not saying that as an impress. It's like people are like, oh, I have all these notebooks, and I was like, I should do that. That's like good skills. That's a good skill as a performer, and I feel like I'm a worse comedian for not writing jokes down and like writing them on paper. It's honestly like, yeah, it's a big like blind spot for me, but now it's like totally fucked me. So I'll have to like.
I mean, if you could remember them, I would say it's not a weak spot at all. But now that you can't remember them, I guess it clearly is.
I'll just have to go back to old videos and recordings and try and figure out like, oh right, that one about dogs that I had that was pretty solid.
And the ones about insects owning their own home.
Yeah.
Is that a spider?
Yeah, the spider one. That's good.
I love that joke.
Thank you. All right, Drew, we've taken up so much of your time. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. It is really great to see you. We're so glad to hear that you're doing better mentally, despite all evidence to the contrary of the previous. No, you're doing great, man, and it's so great to see you. But yeah, take care, man.
Yeah, take
thanks.
care.
Congrats to both of you.
Thanks, Drew.
See, my big question for you is the flooring done?
It's not. It is not done. And do you know what's so depressing is that I've still been looking at it, and I contacted the flooring guy literally about a month ago being like, can we do this mid-Feb? And he was going to do it mid-February, but then I'm still not finished painting the living room. I've almost finished, but you shouldn't really do your floors until you've sort of finished decorating, because the floors are like glass, so you do all the other stuff and then the floors. And so yeah, I feel a sense of disappointment in terms of my lack of achievement of flooring, but I have been making progress towards it. Like, as I say, I've almost finished decorating the living room, and I will decorate the hallway afterwards, and then we will get the flooring in there.
Well, one thing that I had completely forgotten about, not really, but I had completely forgotten about how obsessed I was with the music video for WAP.
I was so excited to hear about this, because when I was listening back to this, when I listened back to I was like, oh my God, you loved that so much in that week.
Right.
And then I just totally don't feel like it's a thing anymore. Sorry, I should let you say how you feel.
Well, I shouldn't say I forgot that I brought it up, but I never stopped loving the video or the song. And I really...
Are you genuinely still loving it?
Yeah, it's so good.
What? When do you listen to this?
Have you seen it? Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I watched it, and my mind's not blown. I think it was okay or whatever, but I just don't get it. I don't know.
I just thought it was great. I just thought everything about it was great and fun, and literally I watched it a bunch of times, and then I just kind of walk around, and in my head I wrote an entire set for every line, every moment of the video, I wrote a joke for in my head, and just kind of and I was like, I need to. So this, I believe, is that I have another podcast where I just talk about music videos, and I just want to have somebody on. I think I might reach out to Caitlin and see if she wants to do it, because she once did an episode on Cardi B, so she might be a bit of a Cardi B expert, and see if she wants to do just an episode. And normally I do 3 music videos per episode, kind of loosely around a theme, but I feel like on this episode it would just be this is the WAP special.
Pure dedication to WAP.
I still think it's great. I still love it. I don't get why you don't get it, but love is a particular thing, I
enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, and I'm down with the whole positive sex thing. I think that's great. I enjoy it. I enjoy the song. It's not my go-to song. I think I've probably listened to it 3 times in the last 6 months. It's not my sort of go-to song to listen to, but it's enjoyable, It's
not like when you're putting the kids down to bed, you're not kind of singing just a lullaby version of get a bucket and a mop, it's a wet ass pussy. Good night, boys. And you're not doing that? Okay. Well,
no, or I don't put them to bed and then break open a bottle of wine and crank just up the wet ass pussy. No, it's not. It's good, but it's fine.
It's not your tempo. I get it.
I'm thrilled that you're still loving it. When I listened back, I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, Matt is going to be what was I thinking? I can't believe I was so obsessed with that song. But you haven't been like that at all. You've literally blown my mind again with the fact that you're still into it. So that's hilarious and really nice for you.
Here's the thing you got to know about Matt Shadorn, all right, is that when he falls in love, it is with his whole heart.
That's so beautiful.
There's no halfway here, so
it's really sad for Alice that there's no room left for her because you're so obsessed with this song.
Well, it's a different heart for WAP. It's a different thing. It's an expression. I've got lots of love to give out for everybody. I have love for this, for movies about puzzles, for
that was a lovely callback. I love that. That was
my
great.
wife and my child. They're all kind of
how's the Tavish update?
He's good. Yeah, like I said in the interview, he peed through like 4 outfits today. Today's been a stressful day, but
that
otherwise,
sounds super stressful.
Yeah, but otherwise it's okay.
It's just nonstop excitement.
What were your predictions for 6 months? I forget what your prediction was.
What was my prediction? Far out. I don't even know.
I remember my predictions. I made a prediction on the Super Bowl with no knowledge or really investment in the prediction.
Oh yeah.
I thought the New York Giants were going to win. They didn't. And, historically, the New York Giants are not a great team. But then the team that did win is also historically a very bad team. I think they were like last year. Again, I had no knowledge about this stuff, but I was wrong. So I admit it. And
hey, but you've still got that Kamala Harris thing. So
I got that. Yeah, I got that.
You did predict correctly there, which was pretty amazing.
So sports punditry 0 for 1, political punditry 1 for 0. So
yippee! Well, I predicted that I would be walking around on my oak flooring, which I am not. So 0 for me, which is very annoying. But I guess 1 for my bank account because I haven't had to spend thousands of pounds. So yeah.
Oh, speaking of bank account, like one thing that I'm trying, there was a thing that said that Biden might do $3,000 checks for every child. And I was like, shit, I got to get that kid registered as a citizen.
Yeah. He needs to start earning his keep.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, guys. It's been so good. Yeah. Like I hope, I don't know. This feels weird. I don't know what. I feel like this has been a kind of a down episode, but maybe there are positive things. Anyway,
I think there's lots of positive things in there, so don't worry about it. Like, well, it'll be more positive in the edit.
Great. We'll make a positive in the edit.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But if you want to hear the really bleak edition, please subscribe to our Patreon and get extended interviews where you can hear how fucking bleak the extended interview was.
You can hear the real episode where it's actually just really, really sad. So if you want to hear sadness, just go pay us more money or any money. And yeah, thank you for listening. So we've got, you can listen. Oh, Jesus. You can, you say stuff, Matt. I don't know what I'm saying.
So yeah, if you don't want to support our Patreon, if you can just rate, review, and subscribe, that really helps people find the podcast. And tell a friend or tell an enemy. Make a new friend by just talking to strangers about our podcast. Yeah, if you want to reach Tara, she is Tara NW Comedy. Is that right?
Yes, on all of the things.
On all of the things. And I'm tired of my bit where I plug my social media that I don't use.
Oh, I love your Twitter bit. I enjoy it so much. Can you please do it?
Fine. You can follow me, MC Dorn, on all the things. I am not really on Twitter, but if you want to go to my abandoned Twitter and do some archaeology, you can dig through and you can find some great tweets like this one. This is from 11/11/2013. A fair weather friend loves you fun conditionally. A fair weather friend. You get that, Tara, right? Okay. Well, that's the reason I don't work on Twitter anymore. I never worked on Twitter, but this is why I do not contribute to Twitter anymore. It is a pointless endeavor for me.
I guess I'm just assuming it's because it's unconditionally and fair put together. Is that it?
No. Okay. No. A fair weather friend. Right? Do you know this expression?
Yeah.
Okay. Loves you fun conditionally.
Oh my God. That's brilliant. I thought you were trying to do like, as in, you know how people say fucking ugly and then they say fugly.
Oh, no.
I thought you were just putting that on top of it. But that is actually that's a really good joke. I really like that joke. I think it's great.
And hey, guys, if you like that joke, go back to November 11th, 2013, Armistice Day 2013. I thought to put that information out into the world for everyone to enjoy, and you still can. And please go look that up and like it. I actually was like, I have been doing this thing where I plug my non-existent social media as a bit, but then I realized, I make actual media outside of this podcast, which is that I have another podcast that I do with my friend Anna called Saint Misbehavin', where we talk about the lives of various obscure saints, and it's really fun, and it is very silly and very blasphemous. And if you want to check out the latest episode, it will be on Saint Valentine, an obscure saint that you maybe think you know, but you don't, because there's apparently like 9 of them. So I don't know. It's very fun. Check it out. Wherever you get this podcast, check out Saint Misbehavin'. Anna puts a lot of work in doing the research, and I put zero work in making fun of her research.
Sounds great. And you can follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook by going to @6monthslaterpod. And you can also go to our website, 6monthslaterpod.com.
Yeah. But thanks again, everybody. We will see you next week.
In 6 months.
So it was fine. But
it would have been so funny though if
it would have been hilarious if my parents
were there.
Oh my
for the bit.
what an incredible button on this episode.